welcome amigos and amigas to another edition of Midweek with Max. It is midweek. We're with Max. We weren't, but we are again. We're also joined by Phil and some wonderful ecosystem partners today. So I'm going to cut my intro short, but I do want to say one quick thing that our second mascot naming contest ended. And with a decisive victory, the winner is a Rami created by Foxstar. So congratulations. We'll make sure to get that role and that Discord XP over to you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Max and Phil until questions.
All right, so let's kick it off with our ecosystem partners. So this is a new feature that we teased around mainnet. We had that kind of impromptu mainnet get together, and of course we love the fact that so many people showed up. But what we want to do is, because if you know, in the after action review of the launch of Hemi's mainnet, what was very clear to me in absolutely all marketing dimensions is, to the degree to which our mainnet launch was successful, and I argue it was really due to the quality and participation of our partners. And so what we are offering to all of our ecosystem partners is the opportunity to exclusively address you all, the amigos and amigas. And we have two 5-minute slots where we just offer our ecosystem partners, 5 minutes to address you guys, give a little spiel about what they're up to and what they're doing for the Hemi community and all that jazz. So we're going to start with Alex from Oku. So the floor is yours, sir. Whatever you want to say to a group of rabid amigos and amigas, give it a go.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so Oku, just to give a quick TODR, so we're a front end for Uniswap v3. So users can go, OP, and then we have DEX aggregators integrated. We have 11 bridges, like Stargate, across, D-Bridge, Wormhole. So yeah, users can, go onto Oku. They can bridge into Hemi via Stargate from Base, Arbitrum, Ethereum, and Optimism. So if you guys are listening, it only takes like about 30 seconds via Stargate. So yeah, you just bridge over real easy into Hemi, and you can do some swaps on there with 0 fees. But yeah, TODR on Oku, and yeah, we're very excited for Hemi to be live on Oku, and yeah, you guys should go check it out, go bridge. Lots of interesting stuff happening on Hemi, so yeah, very excited.
Now, how did you find out about Hemi? Because I had been corresponding with Oku actually very early on.
Yeah. So I can't speak for the rest of the team, but me personally, I'm on crypto Twitter all day. So when I saw another Bitcoin L2 launching, I was like, oh, I got to check this out. It looks very interesting. But yeah, I found it through crypto Twitter.
Oh, excellent. At the top of the next hour, all of our amigos are going to go back to doing whatever they're doing. What would you want them to immediately do as soon as the session ends and they get back on their MetaMask wallets, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, so I want the amigos to go over to Oku Trade, try out the bridge feature via Stargate, so they can just bridge super fast, and then they can provide an LP on major pairs, and then they'll earn some sweet Hemi points. So that's always good. We love points. But yeah, if you guys go LP into the major pairs, yeah, you'll start earning some points.
Excellent. And any final message for the group?
Yeah, so we have if you stay tuned to the Oku Twitter, we have a couple fun stuff coming up. We have tutorials, so you can show you how to bridge, show you how to swap, show you how to LP. and I have a lot of fun stuff cooking up on Hemi. So yeah, definitely stay tuned to that.
All right, and that's at Oku Trade?
Yeah, OKU
Okay.
Trade.
Great. I'm going to put that in the chat so everybody has it.
I want to highlight the DEX aggregator part there too. So the way that works basically is, I think we have 5 DEXs on Hemi at this point, so there could be some liquidity in a pair, USDC to Bitcoin on Sushi, and then a pair for BTC to ETH somewhere else. And so if you wanted to trade USDC for BTC, by going through Oku, they would basically find the best route through all of the on-chain DEXs and get you the best fill with the least slippage by leveraging liquidity from multiple on-chain DEXs. So it's a way, normally you have this liquidity fragmentation problem with DEXs where you have some liquidity over here and some over there. And if you wanted to get the best pricing, you'd have to go and manually figure out to trade this asset for that asset over here, or split your order into 2 orders to take advantage of liquidity in 2 pools. Whereas with Oku, all that routing is figured out for you. So you basically just say, I want to go from this to this. They figure out the best route, and then you're getting the best price from all the available liquidity on chain. So even if you're not using Oku directly as its own DEX as a front for Uniswap v3, using that trade routing is really beneficial for getting the lowest slippage.
Excellent. And thanks for that color commentary, Max. And Alex, thanks for joining us. I'm going to pass the mic now to Instant Sleep. I only know this person as Instant Sleep from the artist formerly known as BitPerp, now Artura. Take it away.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for having us on. For those of you who don't know, we are Artura. We had just kind of gone through a rebrand from BitPerp. Artura is sort of our new vision to create a DeFi super app that offers 150x leverage on your favorite tokens, meme coins, AI, blue chips, ordinals, NFTs, sort of anything that people want to trade and have, leveraged access to. We're able to do it on these Bitcoin L2s such as Hemi, and you can get all this without having to leave the Hemi ecosystem. We do this through our synthetic model, so any asset that people want to trade can be onboarded within 24 hours. We also have a neat little liquidate to earn mechanism so that if you get liquidated, you'll be paid out in our token, and essentially this subsidizes the loss. So even when you're losing, you're winning. And these can be sort of restaked for, passive yields, governance, additional utility, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's a little bit about Artura. We have some big plans cooking up in the near future. So I'm really excited to share all this with you guys.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. All right, and how did you find out about Hemi? What was your entry into the Hemiverse?
Yeah, well, so we had been looking at a number of different L2s that had been coming out over the past year or so, and I think either it was through a mutual connection or just through recommendation through a friend or something. I think we were recommended to check out Hemi. You guys have obviously a great backing. Your ecosystem I think is stellar. You guys also have fantastic tech, and we're really excited to sort of check you guys out and work with you guys. So I think it was just we had been shopping around and we found Hemi and was like, wow, this is a really perfect fit to I think sort of unlock the degen underbelly of the Bitcoin L2 ecosystem through our app and through you guys.
Excellent. And I'm going to shamelessly steal that term, degen underbelly. So if you see any of our marketing moving forward, I'll be sure to give credit where due. So give us a sense for, again, I'll ask you the same question I asked Alex. Once this session ends, what would you like the Amigos to do? What's the first thing you'd want them to do?
Yeah, definitely. So we're actually not, we're going to be on Hemi's mainnet very, very soon. We're cooking up a special rewards program and some awesome community events that we're just working on finishing up the final details on for all the Hemigos to use our platform and its full functions. Right now we are on testnet though, and so this is a great opportunity to sort of practice our platform and try it out with demo money essentially, totally free, totally risk free. And we're also running a raffle right now. So if you trade on the platform, you can win our token just by making a trade. So super easy to do. And then once we're on mainnet, which should be very 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 soon, we're going to be kicking off an amazing way for people to earn even more points for our incentive program for our airdrop. Also, we're going to have some NFT events, which is an all access pass for the Artura ecosystem as well. That's going to be coming out. So lots to look forward to. But yeah, try out our platform. It's the last time before mainnet.
And you guys heard it here first, amigos. Any finals that you want to leave the amigos with?
No, yeah. I think that's it for the most part. Yeah, appreciate you guys having us here. More alpha dropping soon, but we're really excited to be working and collaborating with everybody in the Hemi ecosystem. So thank you, Hemigos.
All right.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, and so with that, Alex, Instant Sleep, you're welcome to stay. Nobody's going to stare daggers at you if you decide to leave. But right now, we're just going to conduct our usual business. So, Rick, unless I miss my guess, that's usually starts with Max, then me, right?
Dealer's choice. It's varied, to be perfectly honest, and so one of you guys can just start your update, and then the other person can go.
Hit it, Max.
All right, so welcome to another Midweek with Max. Thanks everyone for joining us again. Last week was obviously very exciting. We got mainnet publicly launched, and we're starting to see more volume, more activity, more active EOAs on the network. So all of that's looking good. We've also seen, I haven't checked this morning stats, but as of last night, I think 49 unique EOAs participated in pop mining. So that's been cool to see. And I'm sure we'll get into more of the economics there. And, I know there's a lot of questions on the pop mining. We'll get through those. But yeah, super exciting times. We're a lot of work with getting liquidity deployed in protocols, getting protocols integrated into Absent, so points start showing up for LPing on different DEXs and lending protocols. And yeah, a lot of things are moving. So exciting times. And now that we got through the mainnet gauntlet, we got a large roadmap of upcoming items to start working on. So excited to get working on some of the more interesting tech pieces and getting some more info out there about those, and getting some documentation updates for builders. We're also working on a builders incentive program, so grants and bounties, being able to get people engaged in building new applications on Hemi around HVM or new stuff that they want to build that Hemi's a uniquely good fit for with Ethereum and Bitcoin connectivity. And so lots of exciting things going on.
And speaking from the marketing front, Rick, how's my sound? Is it good?
You sound great. I don't think Biggs is going to yell at you.
Okay. Well, it depends on how your recording versus Josh's recording comes out.
Right. How do I sound? Do I sound okay? Is Biggs going to yell at me?
You sound great.
Okay,
you sound
perfect.
great. You sound great. Yeah, and the reason why we're so concerned about sound quality here is because a lot of folks love to listen to the after action replay on YouTube. So we always want to make sure that we maintain that. Look, I mean, right now, I'd have to say the marketing team feels a lot like the space shuttle with its tiles cooling off after reentry into the atmosphere. I am incredibly proud of how the launch happened. We were, not to name any names, but we were essentially competing last week with the launch of another highly anticipated mainnet. And it, our team, through, dint of, wearing out shoe leather, spit, chewing gum, whatever it takes, hand to hand, tooth and nail, really delivered an amazing launch. A lot of you saw us in the press, particularly CoinDesk. The quote card campaign. So you saw all the things that our ecosystem partners had to say about us, and that was absolutely amazing to see. You saw the day one animation video, the sort of the day one sunrise video that performed incredibly well, and then all of that culminated into our little project trending on Twitter. Right. Now, the funny part, though, was that the summary image that the Twitter algorithm, that the Google algorithm, or the Twitter algorithm picked up, rather, was that of the intern, which I thought, the picture of the intern koala, which I thought was interesting. But nevertheless, we trended. We made our tiny little dent in the universe last week. And so that was really incredible to see. And again, it comes down to the folks at not only the folks at Hemi HQ, but the group of CMs led by Rick and Josh that really pushed that through. So that energy was amazing. And as I always admonish the team, we're Wednesday the 12th, that was the starting gate, not the finish line. And so what can you look forward to as a community is that we're going to keep on pursuing more ecosystem partners, continuing to bring on more TVL, and continuing to create experiences for all of you. So I notice here that membership has its privileges, right? I mean, even folks that are just attending this weekly town hall have noticed, as I see in the chat, the benefits of participating. So that's really all I can say. I'm still kind of in awe of how the entire team came together and what was executed last week. And all I can say is more of the same, and we're going to keep cranking away. But so far so great. So back to you, Rick.
Thank you, Phil. I was just updating my numerous microphones that I have to unmute to maintain sound quality. All right, so we are going to move on to questions. I just want to give a quick disclaimer, Max, as you know, that if someone asks, I'm going to ask you. Don't be afraid by that, but if you hear something that sounds like a layup, just take that layup. All right, so when will testnet end?
Testnet will not end, but testnet incentives have ended ever since what was it, like Sunday the 9th of March? And
yes,
so
Sunday the 9th.
okay, yeah, all the dates blur together at this point, but yeah, testnet incentives are over. There are still people using testnet for actual testing, partners deploying protocols there before deploying to mainnet, stuff of that nature. So there's still activity going on there, but none of it is incentivized. If you want points, you can only earn points now on mainnet, doing mainnet tasks like staking or liquidity mining with real assets. And so testnet is not over, but testnet incentives are over.
All right. When will we see tokenomics information?
The next level of detail probably relatively soon, but a lot of that's still being worked on in the back end, still tweaking stuff. So the macro buckets that got posted as part of the node sale, those are still applicable. Nothing there has changed, but we are tweaking some of the economics around stuff like the emission schedule for POP and how exactly that's going to work, and some other items and some of the drill down details of some of the community pile allocation, stuff of that nature. So relatively soon, not promising a date on that. And there is still some stuff in flux, both with feedback from third parties. Also, when you go through the exchange listing process, sometimes they put certain requirements on your tokenomics to get listed. And so that can also change stuff, less about the allocations, more about like lockup schedules and, incentive season points and stuff like that. So still in flux, hopefully more info soon, but it's not going to be end of this week sort of a thing because there are still some items that are getting finalized. And also we're probably not going to announce full detailed tokenomics until very close to TGE. And since that date is still up in the air based on a lot of external factors, that could also delay some of that info getting finalized and published. So stay tuned. Definitely coming in the works, but some of that is still in flux as well.
All right, thank you for that. Moving on to rewards / incentives. When will we see full testnet points?
Should be very soon. We're still doing a final calculation of the pop points. That just things got busy with other mainnet launch items, but hoping to get that done. Ideally, end of day today, but realistically, let's say in the next 48 hours or so, and then that will officially close out the testnet point season. From what you see in Absinthe is the final testnet points that you earned, and I believe also the mainnet points, if they're not already live, should be going live in Absinthe by end of day tomorrow at the latest. And so if you're not seeing mainnet points yet, those should be in within call it 36 hours or something. I'll throw it over to John Greenwood. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add to the points, display timing, the different seasons, all of that.
Sure. Yeah, everything you said, very accurate. As Max highlighted, some of the pop stuff is the only thing holding up finalizing testnet points. When those are done, you'll be able to see those in two places, actually. I'll provide a link will be published for users to go back and take a look at the testnet dashboard as you previously saw it, to kind of go through, more historical stuff there, as well as a final end score for the testnet season will be displayed on the mainnet points dashboard. So you'll be able to see it in two places. Both will be the same. So that's pretty straightforward. And that will be here, I would say, by end of day tomorrow, the latest. Looking to push that today, though, to be able to show the mainnet points portion. Sorry for the confusion. Two separate things there. That should be done within, as Max highlighted, the next 48 hours. For mainnet points display, looking to get that out by hopefully end of day today, if not early tomorrow morning. So basically, for those that had staked, those that are providing LP on a variety of platforms, those points have been counted since the 5th. We just haven't displayed them yet. We were working through a couple of logistics with testnet still being open for pop points, etc., or at least on our end open. So that's kind of what was holding that back. Both of those things should be resolved momentarily, though. So I would expect to see both testnet points as well as mainnet points within the next 72 hours to call it really safe.
That's excellent news, and also kills the next question, which was when will we start seeing mainnet points? All right. This may fall into that bucket, but I will ask anyway, and please feel free to just say that fell into that bucket. When will staking points be visible? Is that also the 72 hours?
Yep. Correct. I would say, to answer that more succinctly, the mainnet points portion will be done and visible by, I would say, noon tomorrow, by end of day tomorrow, the latest. So within today, tomorrow, that's when you will see your mainnet points. And that includes staking points, points for providing LP, etc. Keep in mind that there's, just like with testnet, there's a waterfall to protocol additions. So if I provided LP on a protocol that just launched on a Monday, I might not see those points immediately until they're fully onboarded with Absinthe. So just keep that in mind. But otherwise, you will see points in real time.
All right. Amazing. And I know a lot of folks were asking that question. So thank you guys so much for the clarity on that. Moving on to things people have been asking a lot. John, I'm going to have to kick this over to you as well, if that's all right. Is Deimos verification required to receive rewards?
So the way that let me phrase this properly. Daemons verification is required to receive the testnet/mainnet kind of incentives. So I guess yes would be the most basic answer, or at least at the full value. So or the full weight. There's still some determinations to be made on kind of exactly what this will look like. But I mean, one of the core tenets of our points program has always been that users that receive anything are real. They're providing actual, boots on the ground for testnet. They're providing economics on mainnet, et cetera. And also that they're unique. So, I can't spin up 20 accounts and do a bunch of different stuff on there. I can if I connect them all to the Absinthe dashboard, which, by the way, you'll have the ability to add additional wallets within the next 24, 48 hours. So, stuff like that, that's totally fine. But for users that are trying to game the system, there's quite a few. That type of stuff just won't be tolerated. Our whole ethos here is that this is kind of a fair and equitable points narrative. So with that being said, I guess the answer technically is yes, you're going to need Deimos at some point if you want to get full value out of it. And that includes not just minting your initial ID, but will also require verification a number of times, probably at least twice, if not more, from now until TGA. And that's just to ensure that the user is still in control of that wallet, as well as that there's some other things not at play, which I won't get too deep into, but there's a method to the madness. I can assure you that. And this results in a much better outcome for all users, especially those that are not gaming the system. So, it's all for good purpose.
Now, just add on to that, there's nothing with Deimos that people have to be doing right now. So if you minted an Only Me ID on testnet, we reminted all of those for people on mainnet. So if you mint on testnet, you already have your Only Me ID on mainnet. You can log into your wallet and check, but everything should be there. And also there's no reason to go and do a Deimos verification, which is basically proving it's still you, still the same person in control of the wallet, until we actually announce the phases for doing those verifications to receive the testnet incentives. So if you haven't minted an Only Me ID on testnet, you're more than welcome to go mint one on mainnet, but there's not any sort of time constraint where you have to do that before a certain time currently. That will be announced, and there will be periods where you have to have your Only Me ID by, then do first verification, then maybe second verification. But there's nothing, if you participate in testnet, there's nothing you need to do right now with Deimos to make sure that you will get your points eventually. But do, pay attention to when we do announce those cycles for when you do have to do certain Deimos tasks by in the future.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much for that explanation. Going back to something John said, speaking of gaming the system, how are you planning to fight Sybils in the Hemi rewards program?
Deimos.
That's so tier or level 1 is Deimos, and that's the primary level. Beyond that, there's other on-chain analytics that we will use, but primarily with Deimos, it is near impossible, if not physically impossible, to pull off multiple accounts in a way that would be considered a Sybil. If you take that, you add verification in, now it makes it even more not viable. And then some on-chain analysis will finish that off in order to ensure that syndicates and other things that are taking place that we are aware of are kind of also taken care of. So, I've had a couple of people DM with like edge case scenarios that they've seen. We're aware of all of it. We're aware of kind of bad actors that are playing around, and we will take care of all of it in a due manner.
Awesome. Thank you. I was just thinking how funny it would be if when we release the new FAQ, if everything is kind of like spelled out specifically, and then it says, "How will you fight Sybils?" and it just says Deimos. Period. Sorry. Are funds needed to claim rewards on mainnet?
Yeah, so there may be a couple of tasks that in the future that give people mainnet points that aren't related to using real mainnet assets. But at the moment, all of the mainnet tasking right now is around staking or LPing with real assets on mainnet, and that will continue to be the vast lion's share of rewards for all of the mainnet seasons.
I would just point out that that Demos verification, which will be required at some point, does have a small fee alongside gas for it. It's very minimal, but something to keep in mind for that as well.
Right. Thank you. Moving to not moving to, but staying with mainnet. What are the top priorities for Hemi right now? I guess that question can be the three of you gentlemen, if you choose.
Yeah. How long we got?
We have as
High
long as you
level.
want. It's your show.
try to keep this a little short, but high level, there's a lot of initiatives. So there's a whole BD track for onboarding existing protocols that are launched in the Ethereum ecosystem or the Bitcoin L2 ecosystem, and getting those to come over and do a deployment on Hemi. So we got, I think it was 50 protocols were live when we went, day one public mainnet, and so we're hoping to keep the foot on the gas there, get more protocols onboarded. The second track is getting people to build new applications on Hemi, particularly things around the features that make Hemi unique. So whether that be, an NFT art project that uses Bitcoin finality in some interesting way, whether that be, Bitcoin DeFi application that leverages HVM, whether that be, an app where maybe you're not using any HVM features, but Hemi's just the perfect place to launch it because you have access to Bitcoin and Ethereum assets and liquidity. And so that's kind of a parallel track. That takes longer because it's getting teams in, understanding the protocol, building brand new applications using, in a lot of cases, new technology. But that is definitely a priority as well. And then on the protocol development side, there's a lot of items on the roadmap, from ZK provability for faster settlement to then use that ZK provability to enable our own more secure, more economically efficient version of a BitVM2 implementation. There's longer term work with Chain Builder and the L3 ecosystem, shared sequencing, shared DA systems, bidirectional tunneling, so being able to mint Hemi native assets and tunnel those to the Ethereum ecosystem. And the major thing that unlocks is, once we have BitVM in place, being able to take very highly capital efficient, highly secure native Bitcoin through Hemi out to the broader Ethereum ecosystem. So basically competing directly with, your wrapped Bitcoins of the world with a much more secure, decentralized model of Bitcoin custodianship. There's some interesting stuff with Bitcoin staking we're looking into. On chain, we're looking at, we're in the beginning phases of designing kind of our V2 staking system, which is, so V1 Hemi staking, you put your assets in there, you earn some points, and that's pretty much all that it does. V2 will be a lot more robust, actually doing productive things on chain with different risk profiles, being able to, set and forget different types of assets, whether that be Bitcoin, Ethereum, stable coins, whatever. Throw them in there, have the protocol work for you, generate revenue or yield from all the protocols in the Hemi ecosystem, and directing that liquidity dynamically to put that liquidity where it's being used most and attracting more people to come and use Hemi organically for, trading certain assets or borrowing against their Bitcoin or whatever use cases we start to see emerge on the network. And also a lot of work on just sort of rounding out the tech side and looking at decentralized sequencing, decentralized batching, proposing, or wrapping together and calling publishing, and doing some new things on the settlement side, using hybridized ZK proving with fallback to optimistic settlement. So lots of cool tech stuff coming. And on chain, it's the advancement of the staking system, on chain economics, the eventual on chain DAO, and then partner onboarding and new protocol development. And I'm sure I missed something in there, but that's at least a pretty comprehensive answer.
Phil or John, do you want to add anything to that before moving on?
Well said. Have nothing to add.
All right. I'm going to take your silence as you have nothing.
Oh no, I was hunting for the mute button there.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of priorities, I guess I guess I could say that, if it comes down to the last hour of the marketing team's long day, it's going to come down to supporting ecosystem and business development, right? I think last week proved that when we love our ecosystem to death, we win. That's it. So I mean, that's kind of the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end, the 1 and 0 of marketing Hemi. I think is that when I think about priorities, I think about the fact that if we make our ecosystem partners happy, everything else falls into place, right? And you can focus on other pieces of the marketing pie. It's not like we're going to ignore them, but if I've got one bullet and I want to shoot to score, that's going to be in support of ecosystem development and business development, because going in that direction, if you look at the results of last week, that is the one common denominator for every measurement success that we had from a marketing perspective. So I mean, I look at that and I go, you take that and we want more and better, and so on and so forth. Because if you make the ecosystem happy, they will talk about you, and if they talk about you, everybody else notices, from other ecosystem partners to the press to analysts to researchers, et cetera, et cetera. So when I think about my own priorities, when I sit down at my desk or whatever, it's like, okay, what am I doing right now? And does it get to ecosystem success in 2 or fewer moves, right? And so if I have to rationalize whatever I and the team are doing in more moves than that, then I have to really rethink, okay, is it really that important? And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, last week was the glimmer of, I think, what we can accomplish if we just follow the philosophy of just being incredibly good end-to-end partners with our ecosystem.
Right. Thank you all for that answer. We have a ton of amazing partners too. Okay, sticking with mainnet, why are transactions on mainnet often slow?
That's something we're working on. So there's a couple root causes. Some of them are user error, and one of them has to do with peer-to-peer issue that we're fixing on our infrastructure, basically transaction propagation and some nodes getting updated with blocks at a delay. So we are working on some improvements for that. We have a line of sight into the root cause there, so we're fixing that. The worst case is it delays transactions, or at least the appearance of confirmation, by around a minute, sometimes up to 90 seconds. But if you're seeing delays longer than that, it's probably due to either setting transaction fees too low, or you're using some software that's not setting the nonce correctly. So we're seeing a lot of pending transactions that are stuck in the mempool because they're either not paying a high enough fee to cover both the L1 DA fee and the on-chain gas fee, or they skipped a nonce. So the way Ethereum transactions work is each new transaction from an EOA has to increase the nonce by 1. So if you send, your first transaction from a wallet, that'll be at nonce 0, then the next one at nonce 1. And so if you skip one of those and, your last transaction was nonce 1, and then you send one at nonce 3, which generally, a wallet like MetaMask or Ravi will manage for you, but it's possible for something to happen, or if you're doing something custom that can create transactions with bad nonces, those will also get stuck in the mempool until you send a transaction at a lower nonce that fills in that nonce gap. So if you're seeing delays longer than 90 seconds, look and see if you're setting fees correctly. And you can look on the Explorer and see, if you look at the details for each transaction, you can see the nonce. And you can also see the most recent nonce of the last confirmed transaction from your address. Compare those two, and if your new transaction has a nonce that's more than 1 higher than the last transaction, or not exactly equal to 1 higher than your last transaction, or if your fee is below the gas rate that you see other transactions that are getting confirmed at, then your problem is either gas or nonce related, not transaction propagation related. But we are seeing most transactions clear right now. We're seeing, I believe, about 15 or 16,000 transactions on mainnet per day, and there's maybe 100 that are stuck in the mempool with nonce or fee issues. So the majority of users seem to be getting transactions through and confirm fine, and we are working on that 60 to 90 second delay that some people are intermittently seeing.
Thank you for the clarity on that. Moving on to UI. Will there be any more UI upgrades to the Hemi portal and other sites?
Yeah, for sure. So we launched our new marketing site last week, and so that's the culmination of quite a bit of redesign work on that side. We're going to be adding some more stuff to it, like some code examples for how to use HVM in some interesting ways, stuff like that. And then also on the application UI side, there's going to be improvements to the Hemi staking program. We're making some tweaks and modifications to the tunnel, some of it, user education related as to what wallets they can use, stuff of that nature. There will also be, at some point in the relatively near future, call it 1 to 2 months, a new way of tunneling Bitcoin to the network, or a different user journey, at least for doing that, which will use liquidity providers. So it'll be faster confirmation and also not require you to include an op return with your transaction, which will make it so that you can send funds from an exchange directly to the network instead of having to use Unisat or another wallet that's going to correctly insert that op return into the transaction for you. So definitely some more improvements coming. And then I know dark mode's also been requested. That will be done at some point, but there are other priorities right now that are more important than dark mode, but that is also on the roadmap.
That was my next question, and that warms my heart because I love dark mode, and I know JCV does as well. So
I think most people do.
It's awesome to hear that we have that coming. Does Hemi have any plans to release yield tokens on Spectra?
Not sure Spectra in particular, possibly. That's probably more of a question on the ED side.
There is a possibility. Let's put it that way.
But definitely in general, very interested in yield tokens. There's some, further term or further out there roadmap items around new interesting ways of doing native Bitcoin staking. And so there may be some interesting yield tokens that come out of that project as well. But yeah, definitely do want to do yield tokens as to whether that's on Spectra or what protocol or protocols, TBD, but as John said, possibly.
Awesome. I'm going to do this one as a combo. Are there any updates that we can share regarding the private and public node sales?
Nothing new on that front. We're starting to revisit that this week now that we got through mainnet, so we'll probably have some more information either next week or the week after. So what I will say is if you bought a node in the private sale, you basically locked in those tokenomics. You'll get your node at around TGE, and the node you purchased will work as specified for what you purchased. We are looking at possibly changing some of the mechanics, but if we do make any of those changes, it'll be for the better, so for the benefit of anyone who already bought one. And so any changes, if we do make any changes to the the emission schedule or like the fee revenue sharing or any part of that system, that will only work in the favor of people who already bought. As for the public sale, we haven't decided on an end date for the private sale. We've just basically left it open while we got through mainnet. That will be ended at some point, and then the public sale still TBD. And part of that is also related to overall market conditions. So doing a node sale, in this market at effectively the token economics we're talking about, it's a hard sell to a lot of retail. And so we're revisiting that, seeing if we need to tweak it, delay it for different market conditions, change the sales structure. We are talking with some partners some different platforms who do node sales and have communities who have appetite for types of nodes Hemi's selling. So still in early discussions with them to see if it makes sense to partner with their platforms. So nothing too new. If you bought a node in the node sale, you're already locked in. You'll get your node. As for the timing of the end of private, the beginning of public, still TBD, and some of that depends on market conditions as well.
All right. I have one quick follow-up to that. For the users who have purchased a node, when can they start running the Hemi node?
At TGE. So basically, there will be a period to get set up, prior to TGE to make sure your node's actually running correctly. We will have at least one infrastructure partner who will run nodes on your behalf for a small fee, if you don't want to run the node yourself. And then also, not to dive too much into the mechanics, because I know we're running short on time, but you can link up to 100 node licenses per physical node. So if you only bought one node license, you're more than welcome to run your own infrastructure, but the cost may not make sense to do that. And so that's why we have these partners who you can go to them and they will run the node for you and, take a percentage of the fee or, an upfront payment of some small amount of, USDC or whatever, depending on the package you choose. But yeah, so to answer the question, there will be a couple days before where you can get your node set up, make sure that it's working. And then at TGE, that's when the nodes will actually start earning rewards based on the node tier that you purchased, as long as your node is up and running. And the way that works is each of the node licenses has an upfront amount, so an immediate unlock at TGE. So you'll get that as soon as your node is first online, and then for each reward period of an hour, 2 hours, or whatever. Basically, as long as your node is online and correctly responding to RPC requests, then you will get your linear drip of rewards for that period as long as your node's online. So if it's offline for a day out of a total of a day out of a year, you would get 364 out of 365 of your total tokens that would have been emitted over that year had your node been up 100% of the time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the clarity on that. You just answered that. Okay, moving on to the other section. What is VUSD?
So VUSD is a over-collateralized stablecoin. So the way it works is you can put in either USDC or USDT, and then mint VUSD 1-to-1. And on the back end, VUSD can go and earn yield on those stablecoins that are deposited to basically over-collateralize the position. So you can always go and redeem VUSD for one of the underlying stablecoins, and it acts as kind of a stablecoin homogenization, where you can take either of the popular stablecoins, and there may be more stablecoins added to it in the future, and then it creates this one single asset for you get benefits for not getting fragmented liquidity. So VUSD is basically the preferred stablecoin on the Hemi network. A lot of the pairs that we'll be adding liquidity to and incentivizing liquidity on Hemi mainnet will be pairs of ETH or BTC or whatever against VUSD, and it creates that single funnel that all stablecoin liquidity can basically build around, instead of having some USDC liquidity here, some USDT liquidity there. Maybe in the future, if DAI gets added to VUSD, it also replace DAI to BTC, DAI to ETH liquidity. So homogenizing all that liquidity potential around one single common stablecoin.
Oh my God, that was a great explanation of that. Thank you so much. We've been seeing a decent amount of questions regarding that. Oh, good God, we have so many questions. I'm gonna try to ask these as fast as humanly possible. This is a longer question in that section. I'd like to know why the TVL and DeFi Llama on the Hemi site don't show up together and deposits have dropped. It makes me worry about my assets. Can you provide a reasonable explanation why and the points haven't been increasing, it says. So I think it's just addressing DeFi Llama, TVL, and why there's like number discrepancies.
Yeah, I'll let John jump in on
Yeah.
this one as well, but oh yeah, go ahead, John.
So basically, keep in mind, DeFi Llama is an open source tool that has their own methodology. So, in fact, nothing has gone down; it's only gone up on DeFi Llama. It's just that the number that is shown there is not accurate because they're not counting certain assets. If you refresh now, they've added 3 additional assets since this morning. 2 major ones that account for 160 million roughly of TVL are still not counted. So. As far as number going up and down, it has to do with one user or one large person had grabbed come out of Hemi staking went into decent. So then it required us to then push another notification to DeFi Llama, hey, we need you to count this over here now. So keep in mind, there's a lot of manual interaction that's required there, and it does take up to a couple weeks to get all of that straightened out on a new chain. So please just bear with us. We launched last week, and it does take a lot of PRs to push the required information for DeFi Llama to count all of this stuff. Also, as a side note, because of the way that they track this stuff, they don't update it kind of on a regular schedule. So they've kind of given us some priority over the past couple of days, where they have, like I said, this morning they added additional assets that are now tracking properly. But otherwise, there's it's really hard to kind of say, okay, this will be fixed on this date, because it's with a third party that's open source, that is not like a partner of any kind. So we're working on additional ways of displaying this, both in-house as well as with other third parties. But I can rest you assured that there is no exodus of TVL of any kind that's mentionable. Everything has gone up consistently since we have launched.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, we have another fairly long question. How do you guys ensure true decentralization? Do you claim to be fully decentralized? I ask because, as you may know, Ethereum reversed transactions during the 2016 DAO attack. From a developer's perspective, I don't quite understand how a blockchain community can collectively agree that a previously confirmed block should no longer exist. Could you shed some light on how this works? And there are a couple follow-ups to that when you're ready.
Yeah, for sure. So fundamentally, any blockchain protocol can be reverted if everybody basically agrees to change the protocol to invalidate some data that is considered part of the protocol. So, for example, going back to Bitcoin, when there was a minting bug, basically everyone said, "Hey, we're not going to social consensus. We're going to agree that that block's not actually part of the canonical chain, and that the protocol is going to, all the miners are going to agree to mine blocks using this new protocol, which invalidates this, bug that basically let that data get into the chain, that, bad transaction." Same with Ethereum with the DAO fork. So it's always theoretically possible. There is Bitcoin's probably the best at this, from being socially resistant to any sort of, agreed upon social consensus change to the protocol that changes a rule or, ejects some data from the UTXO table or something like that. So it's always theoretically possible. With L2s, it's actually a lot harder to do, because you would also need to update the settlement logic and what protocol the settlement contracts on L1 agree are the true state of things. You'd have the same on, like, when we get to the BitVM tunnel working, you'd have a similar mechanic there, where the BitVM contracts and the program that they're verifying is ZK proof. You can't just rip out that program and replace it with another program that is hard coded in. So if you change a protocol rule, that would also change what you're ZK proving, and your ZK proofs wouldn't line up. So decentralization is definitely a path, and there's things that we are going to do on the Hemi network that will increase decentralization. So, for example, decentralizing the sequencer, so the people who choose what transactions get into the chain, that will be decentralized. We're still working on decentralizing the publisher-batcher roles, so being able for anyone to go and basically publish data to Ethereum for DA purposes, and also publish state roots to Ethereum for settlement. So those things are on a roadmap. Those will increase the project's decentralization. So until we get those in, as well as the BitVM tunnel, I wouldn't say we're fully decentralized, but we've built all of the components of our network to, in our current state, maximize for decentralization, and let us roll out those items into the protocol to make it fully, completely decentralized. So that is a work in progress. I think in 6 months from now, we'll be in an extremely decentralized position. Probably more decentralized than any other L2, or at least on par with the most decentralized L2s as they continue their decentralization journey too. We'll see how their timelines work out. But it is a work in progress. In the current state, though, even as we are today doing we could not go into a protocol upgrade that ejected data from, Ethereum DA. Like once it's published to Ethereum, it is stuck in Ethereum DA. We would have to, update the entire system and get multiple parties to agree to update parts of the protocol on the settlement side, all kinds of things to actually, reverse a transaction, change a deployed smart contract, things of that nature. So definitely a roadmap there. It's something that we are, serious about getting to the best final end state that's technically possible for an L2, but it is a roadmap for sure.
All right, we are approaching. Oh, we are at the top of the hour. I want to be respectful of your time. Are you comfortable with a couple of the follow-ups, or would you prefer we save?
Yeah, I can hang on for another, say, 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll try to get through these as fast as possible. Can Hemi nodes collectively agree to reverse a transaction?
Generally, no. Although, just like any chain, if there's complete social consensus to change what everyone recognizes as the canonical protocol, that is always something that can theoretically be done. But in reality, in practice, no.
All right. Who controls the BFG and BSS nodes?
So right now, what in the white paper is called a BSS node, what in architecture right now is technically, if you're like compiling the daemons and running stuff, it's the op node instance. Right now, we are running the sequencer, and that's one of the things we're working on decentralizing with Ethereum style proof of stake. The benefit of decentralizing it that way is you get a lot more decentralized participation. So most L2s are leaning towards, when they do eventually decentralize their sequencer, their plan is to go with the delegated proof of stake system. The benefit of Hemi is because we have proof of proof and Bitcoin security inheritance, that lets us choose a more decentralized consensus protocol that preserves liveness over immediate security. And so, because if you need that high quality security, you can just wait for Bitcoin finality, wait 90 minutes, then you have full confirmation that transaction can never ever be reversed, even no matter what its DA publication state to Ethereum is. So right now we're running the sequencer. We're decentralizing that with Ethereum style proof of stake. That's made possible by proof of proof. And then for the BFG side, anyone can run a BFG node. BFG is basically just the way that daemons in the Hemi stack view and interact with the Bitcoin network. And so there's nothing permissioned about running a BFG node. We run one for people to connect to for pop mining, but they could also just run their own BFG node locally and connect to that instead.
All right, thank you. Can a smart contract on Hemi be censored or altered after deployment?
In practice, no. Again, theoretically, everyone with social consensus can agree to, view a different version of the protocol as the Hemi protocol. That can be done with, Ethereum could do a hard fork and change our settlement contracts, right? So it's always theoretically possible, but in reality, no.
Okay, and because this last one is long, and again, out of respect for your time, I'm going to try to summarize this as best as possible. Could you give a top level about pop mining on mainnet? Meaning, who should run one? Just a little something about the economics and what is POPP and how the payouts work.
Yeah, for sure. So mainnet pop mining, there's going to be a few different phases of it. And so right now we're in the pre-TGE phase, which means there is not a token for the protocol to use to pay out to people doing pop mining. So that's where the POPP token, I guess people are calling it that now. On the Explorer, it's the POP token, pop points. That is a non-transferable placeholder token. And the intention of that is to basically simulate mainnet economics pre-TGE. And right now, the way that those rewards work is every keystone, there's 100 total pop points, and they are divided equally amongst everyone who pop mined that keystone. So we did that so that initially it's simple to understand. People can get set up, do some mainnet pop mining. We are going to switch that payout algorithm to a different version that dynamically retargets around the number of target publications. So the protocol is going to try to get 4 publications every keystone, which means If it gets 3, it's going to increase the reward. If it gets 5, it's going to decrease it. So we will update to that version, but we did this first version of just 100 pop points each round distributed to anyone who successfully mined that particular keystone and got confirmed in Bitcoin within about 1.5, 1.6 hours of that keystone occurring on the Hemi network. And got to be, let me choose my words here. The pop points are basically a placeholder to simulate mainnet token economics for pop payout. So if you're doing pop mining, you're earning those pop points, and at TGE, you are going to essentially get economics as if you had been pop mining post TGE, if that makes sense.
That does. And thank you so much for the explanation. I know we ran over, and again, I totally respect your time, and I thank you for staying late. I'm just going to do a quick wrap up and kick it right to you guys.
Oh,
I
and
just
super
want to
quick, sorry, I forgot to answer
no.
like Kusha pop mine. Pop mining is relatively expensive because you're paying Bitcoin fees. So you have to look at how many pop points you're earning, what you think Hemi's market potential is, and what you're paying in Bitcoin fees, and decide whether spending that Bitcoin to earn those pop points makes sense. But high level, basically, the Bitcoin fees is the largest variable input, because at some points that can be 7 satoshis per V-byte. At some points it's 1 satoshi per V-byte. And also, for the moment, you don't need to prioritize getting into the next Bitcoin block, but you need to get into the next, generally 3-ish Bitcoin blocks to get a payout. And so you can adjust your fees accordingly. But the other thing too is there's no, unlike testnet where there were bonuses for pop mining consistency, if you mine 10,000 keystones, you got this bonus, things like that. None of that applies on mainnet. So the only rewards for mainnet pop mining are those pop points you're getting, which again, that mechanism is in place pre-TGE, and then post-TGE it'll just be tokens directly. And what was the last point I was going to say on that? So you have the Bitcoin fee rate. That's basically your cost for pop mine. Oh yeah, and so there's no, if you want to go and mine 3 keystones and spend a couple bucks doing that, you are not getting more. You're not getting less rewards per transaction that you're doing versus somebody who pop mines 24/7. So obviously the pop miner 24/7, if they mine 200 keystones and you mine 2, they're getting 100 times more pop points, but there's not some additional multiplier relative to your consistency or anything like that in mainnet. And also the pop points, like I said, those are the only reward. You're not going to be getting points in Absinthe for that. They're entirely separate programs. Pop points are completely separate from either testnet points or mainnet points. Those are completely separate mechanics.
Oh my God, thank you so much for that. We covered a lot, and there's so much good information in this episode. I encourage every Hamigo and Hamiga to go back and do a listen, because this really does cover so many questions we see in Discord all the time. I just want to thank our community moderators and our community in general for being here with us today, and all the help and all the energy. I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, and yep, that's all I got. So I'm going to kick it over to Phil and Max for an outro, but thank you all very much.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us. We will see you next week at Midweek with Max. I think we also have some other events. I think there's an intern. Is that tomorrow, the intern live stream?
Oh, dear God in heaven. Yes. Oh, God, no. Why did you guys vote for this?
So
Why?
tune in for that if you like chaos. And
yeah. For a less informative AMA, join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. EST, because you guys are going to meet the intern for better or worse.
You will lose brain cells, and it will be worth it.
God, can't confirm.
But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. Love to see the community energy on Discord, on social media, on Twitter. It's really exciting to see everyone jumping in and getting involved with mainnet. And yeah, stay tuned for mainnet points going live, the testnet pop points getting finalized and up, both of those in the next 48, 72 hours, probably less. And we will see everyone next week.
Thank you all so much. Phil, did you have an outro?
No, I just wanted to say, just repeating everything I said earlier, that mainnet was an incredibly rewarding experience, and a lot of that has to do with the participation of a lot of the folks here. So So thanks a ton, gang.
Thank you all, everyone. We'll see you in Discord. Take care.
Awesome. Cheers.